The military, in administering the laws of the occupied state, exercises legislative, executive, and judicial functions. It exercises everything temporarily that the government had prior to its overthrow. So, in the case of Hawaii, and how subject matter jurisdiction tied into my research, is that what should have happened in 1893, January 17th, was that the US military should have administered Hawaiian Kingdom law by setting up a military government. And that military government can establish what is called, by virtue of the President's authority, Article 2 courts. Article 2 courts are distinguished from Article 1 and Article 3 courts. Under the US Constitution, you have 3 different courts that exist. Article 1 are courts created by Congress. Article 3 are courts created by the judiciary, well, not the judiciary, but are created by virtue of the Constitution. Okay? But Article 1 courts and Article 2 courts can only exist on US territory. They cannot exist outside of US territory. Article 2 courts, on the other hand, cannot exist on US territory. They can only exist on foreign territory in the administration of the laws of an occupied state. In the case of the United States, it was Hamdan versus United States. Guantanamo Bay. A JAG officer made an appeal that went all the way to the US Supreme Court that said that the tribunals, these Article 2 courts that were created by executive order, were unlawful because Guantanamo Bay is a part of the United States because that's a base. It was not set up on Cuban territory, but it was set up in Guantanamo Bay, which is US territory by virtue of the treaty. It went on to the US Supreme Court, and the US Supreme Court agreed with the JAG officer that the president has no authority to establish an Article 2 court within US territory, and ruled the tribunals in Guantanamo Bay are illegal, and basically asked the Congress, you folks have to pass a law to maintain those courts. And Congress thereafter passed the law to maintain the courts in Guantanamo Bay, which are now called Article 1 courts. What should have happened here was Article 2 courts should have been established on Hawaiian territory by virtue of the executive agreement to administer Hawaiian Kingdom law. So jurisdiction or subject matter jurisdiction proper would be Article 2 courts, not an Article 3 court.
Is this quitclaim deed valid?
No.
Objection, Your
And
Honor.
why is it not valid?
The witness does not have the expertise to make that statement.
My understanding was the previous question was in context of the continuity of the Kingdom of Hawaii. And based on that question and this question, I'm going to overrule your objection.
Proceed.
Well, when you're talking about the executive agreement, which is the first one, the Lilit Wokalani assignment of executive power, the Queen, prior to the assignment, had the responsibility pursuant to Article 31 of the Constitution to faithfully execute the laws of the country. One particular law that she could not execute was the treason statute and apprehension of those individuals who committed treason. But she's also responsible for the faithful execution of laws that apply to real estate or real property. And as I stated before, Hawaiian law and property was completely privatized as of 1845. In fact, in 1845, under the Second Act of Commemorate III, is where the Bureau of Conveyances was established. And that's why if you go into the Bureau of Conveyances today, you will see a sign there that says 1845 that records all deeds from that point on. Now what also was provided in the law was how do you lawfully execute property, okay, the conveyances. And Hawaiian Kingdom law provides that one, it must be taken before a notary, and if that notary is within the Hawaiian Islands, it has to be a subject of the Hawaiian Kingdom. But the law also recognized foreign notaries. If a document was notarized outside of the United States, under the laws, let's say, of the United States of America, Hawaiian law would recognize that notary. But once it's submitted for recordation, which is the second step to execute the deed, it has to be recorded by the registrar. This registrar here is not a registrar under Hawaiian Kingdom law. So basically, this deed could not be recorded without being in direct violation of the executive agreement. Now, the notary in this same deed is from the state of Texas and Mawanji. The notary is valid, but the registrar is not by virtue of the executive agreement. Because the executive agreement provides that the registrar has to be under Hawaiian law to record deeds. So what we have here, now there's a difference between signing a deed. Obviously, this person, Charmaine Williams, signed it, but there's a difference in execution of the deed. And this deed was not lawfully executed by virtue of the registrar not being competent because of the executive agreement and the continuity of certain policies. So the issue here is really the public record. And because it was not disclosed did not mean it doesn't exist. Those executive agreements continue to exist and preempt any state law that runs contrary to it. In this particular case, this assistant registrar, Ann Thompson, Nikki Ann Thompson, cannot claim to be under Hawaiian Kingdom law, but rather the law of the state of Hawaii. That's not in accordance with the executive agreement.
2 weeks, the judge will make his decision. So we're not going to know anything. We'll have to follow this up. We're privileged to be inside the courthouse here at the state building. It's a beautiful place. And we're hoping
That's what you're arguing.
that you can see the merit in
And
this
now
case.
it's not opposition, you're opposition that has to follow. You are the same thing.
Fine for the defendant.
That's what, that's why I was
Well, we had One West Bank take over the mortgage from IndyMac Bank, and we had made payments to bring our balance to current, and come to find out they put us in foreclosure because they took our payment and used it to pay for their lawyers, which is illegal. We went through a whole process of loan modification and they stalled us, and then they say after that, they said we have to make this payment. So we sent them the check from Bank of Hawaii, certified check, and then they turned around, returned the check to us, and said that they can't accept payment because we're in a state of foreclosure. And we asked them why, and then they said they haven't received the payment. Then we checked with Bank of Hawaii, they cashed all the checks. We checked with a manager. Instead of talking to these agents on the phone, we asked for a manager. He searched through computers. Finally, he finds it, and he says that they used our double payment to bring our balance to current to pay for their lawyers. Now that's illegal. And then right after that, they put us in a state of foreclosure. The following month, we write to Dana Kaka, and he sends us a letter with a reply with all these bogus statements that they write back to Akaka to satisfy him. And one of the statements are saying they returned my payments due to the fact that I'm in foreclosure. The next statement they say is that I made a payment to them, and they put it into my account 1 year before that, which I missed my 1 month payment. So am I or am I not in a state of foreclosure? Are they not accepting payments from me? And after I'm in a state of foreclosure, they said they accepted payments from me, which I never made. I never sent them one more dime after they returned my last check.
So what's
and
the
that
question?
is a fraud.
What's the question? Where'd that money come from?
Where that money came from?
Where did the money come from? It's a fair
a
question
fraud.
to ask.
Has accepted $814 million bailout monies from the United States federal government. And they're supposed to be trying to help people stay in their homes. But all they're doing is looking for the fast money that they can get back by selling the homes to the investors so they can get all the money back, plus the interest that we paid them over all the years, and kick us out in the street with our 6 kids. Where do we go from there? What can be worse than that?
Everything about our everyday lives has to change.
We are changed. We are changed. We are